Hello, Troy A. Shadowing Tronics here once again for Art Soundoff and the Art Soundoff Challenge. So you've seen this a couple of times, but now you get to see it the right way around. This is my production book for Captain Yuletide. Um, so I've mentioned before. I mentioned in the first Art Soundoff of this year the world building project where I was putting this thing together, and if you want to see more about this book, this thing itself. I have the world building project that I have completed available, so you can check it out. But why put together? This is basically what's called a writer's guide or a story Bible or things of that nature. It's something that TV shows put together. On my website, I've reviewed Batman the Animated Series, Story Bible, and we're just coming to the end of the Season 1 Writer's Guide for Star Trek The Next Generation. That's should be finishing probably by the end of the month or start of next month. There's a question of why should a comic creator make one of these? Well, I think it kind of depends on the project and your personal interest. Like, this is for a series, but it's a series that I do every Christmas. It doesn't have a very strong backstory. I'm trying to create just enough lore to give me some starting points. I don't really need to go really far back into the history. Now, if I was doing something, say, well, I don't know, let's say I was starting an ongoing series that would be new issue out every month or every other month, I might have, and with stronger characters, I might have a more detailed backstory. I might talk about the characters' histories and motivations and get into more detail. If you're doing a one-shot comic where you may not even need anything at all, but you might have just maybe a small list of each character and how they're supposed to be. If you're doing a graphic novel, maybe you have a slightly stronger production. But all this is really for me is just is that art of the character, like what do they call it? It's kind of late doing this. Character models, art models. Basically, this is the design when this character is in Captain Yuletide form, and then on the back, I'll show you the back of the album before it. I have a brief character profile about who they are, what their character arc is. It's not really as highly detailed as it might be, because it's just kind of a point of giving me some basic details for the elves and to see which one would be chosen for a certain mission that I came up with. And there may be some repeats, so any characters that I think I'm going to repeat go in here. Anything that I don't think is going to be in here more than one story, like maybe a human character that would just happen to be part of the story. Like in last year's, I had for example, a surfer dude. I was trying to explain what Christmas was like in Australia. I don't think it's a character I'm going to use again, so I don't really have a profile for him in the book. It's just kind of a guest appearance character. It's not. If I decide that I wanted to make him a recurring character, then I would take the time to create a full profile and everything. I may want to do like a model sheet of the humans that's going to be in this year's comic, and even the well, I'll just say the threat right now. But it's not going to be, to me, I don't know if this is going to be a recurring threat. and the human probably won't be a recurring character. So, and if it is, I can always go back to the other comic and make a reference. Or even if I decided that this is going to become a recurring character, or even maybe a regular, which probably not going to happen in this story just because of the nature of it. But say in uh, a like a monthly comic, then I would take the time to come up with a profile and a regular model sheet, and they would go in the book. And I think the advantage of having something like this, if you're doing a series or a mini series or even a graphic novel, is maybe not so much the graphic novel because it is a one-time project, but it's still a good idea to have character designs. But it kind of like helps you keep track of the characters. You know what kind of you know what kind of story arc they're going to go through. Um, even after this, what advantage they might do to have a story after their personal story arc is complete. Maybe there's something in there to make a second story arc out of them, or maybe it's just their arc is done, but they can still contribute to the arcs of the other characters, or just the events that happen to be around them. And this is kind of what the writer's guides and story Bibles and everything's about. But even then, sometimes you may not match the points of the characters as you've written them. For example, the story Bible for Batman the Animated Series, you all know Mr. Freeze's origin from that show. It's not quite the origin as was seen originally in the comics and in previous incarnations of Batman. But that's kind of the one that stuck with a lot of people. But if you go back into the story Bible, his origin was supposed to be more traditional. When he came to the Penguin, there were supposed to be things about him not letting his mother know that he was actually a criminal. But I don't think his mother ever really even came up in the show. So even though you may put together a Bible or whatever, it is possible that if you put too much history beforehand, you may be running for nothing. I've advocated in previous art sound-offs when creating a story Bible to not be afraid to put in some kind of backstory you can work with, but try not to put so much in that it either limits what you can come up with later, or something that you're going to have to throw away because you came up with a better idea. And as time goes on, you will build up on their story anyway. It might even be better getting some kind of Wikipedia type software, not necessarily starting your own wiki, but just have something on your hard drive or project drive or even a CD where you could update your character's history and be able to have a comprehensive way to go back to your continuity and create stuff. So it's something to consider. I mean, at any rate, when I've been able to work on it, I have kind of enjoyed doing it. I sit down, relax, just draw characters from multiple angles, coming up with a very short list of their history and how it'll define a character to put into your comic. And and every now and then you have to alter it as you've built upon that character. It's kind of a good way to help you keep track of what you've done, what you plan to do, and just a little nice way to kind of relax, more of a relax than sitting there and working headlong on a comic page or a project. Just kind of an easy project, if you can find the time, and that's the problem that I've had, because I've been trying to catch up on so much, and the writing phase doesn't take more work, it does take more time, where the art doesn't take as much time because I always listen to a podcast or something, or maybe there's a video I don't necessarily have to look at, and then I could just do the drawing then. But it does take a lot more work. The writing, at least for me, doesn't take as much time, as much work, because the writing's easy to me, but it takes a lot more time because I really cannot have any kind of dialogue or anything. All I can have is instrumental music. I can, in order to work out the dialogue. So that's kind of been my holdup on getting this finished, and now I've got to start preparing for this year's Captain Yuletide, and then hopefully when the comic is all done, I can come back and finish this. There's still a few things left I have to do. It's just a matter of finding the time for me to do it. But as I said yesterday, scheduling has been kind of a pain in the backside for me as of late. But if you guys ever put together something like this, I'm kind of curious to know if I'm the only one doing this for a comic series, or is this something that maybe you guys have done as well? I really haven't done one for Jake and Leon. I think I know enough about the character's history to do the gags and everything. I don't need any kind of lore for them at all. I don't really need any kind of lore for Ninja Ballerina. I kind of need lore for Captain Yuletide, but I don't, because it's an annual Christmas comic, basically with kids in mind. I don't think I need to have some character profile, some continuity, but not as strongly as some of the other projects that I want to do later on. But if you found any of this interesting, you can check out my website, BW Media Spotlight, and I put a card link earlier to the World Building Project vlogs, so you can check out those and be ready for when I hopefully get to finish this. And if you want to check out any of my articles and comics or whatever, you can check out bwspotlight.com. That's BW Media Spotlight, my website. And if you want to find out what other people are saying in the Art Soundoff Challenge, what their opinions on their art days are, you can go to Twitter and look for the hashtag #ArtSoundoff. And if you decide you want to join us in this thing, you got all month to do even just one video. You can go to artsoundoff.com. But that's it for me for now, and I wish you all happy creating.